The Bronx, New York City, 1962. Here, in a simple middle-class Jewish home, Jordan Belfort, an ambitious visionary destined to shake the stock market with his illicit schemes to rig the system, is born. Belfort exhibited the entrepreneurial spirit from a young age, working a variety of odd jobs to earn some quick cash, such as an Italian ice salesman or a meat packager / door-to-door salesman. He even enrolled in the University of Maryland School of Dentistry, believing it was his true calling, only to choose not to attend the graduate program after the school's dean reportedly stated in his welcome speech on the first day, "The golden age of dentistry is over. If you're here to make a lot of money, you're in the wrong place." Belfort's first taste and interest in the stock market would come in the late 80s, when he worked as a trainee stockbroker at L.F. Rothschild and Company. Belfort would soon lose his job after the 1987 Black Monday stock market crash, but soon founded Stratton Oakmont, a franchise of Stratton Securities. Belfort's involvement in Stratton Oakmont would mark the beginning of his vast 7-year-long scheme to manipulate the stock market and reap hundreds of millions of dollars. Prior to the 21st century, buying stocks was not as simple as going online to buy or sell a certain number of shares. Instead, investors would have to call a stockbroker over the phone and instruct them on their decision. More often than not, the roles would be reversed, with the broker advising his investing clientele on what their move should be. By processing these trades, the broker would receive a 1 to 2% commission on their total value of the traded assets. This system would make brokers desperate to pressure their clients to make moves and boost their own profit. Stratton Oakmont would revolve around the system. With his excellent speaking skills and charisma, Belfort would swoo inexperienced clients into buying up large quantities of cheaply valued stock from flimsy, typically startup companies. But Belfort had grander ambitions. As his enterprise grew, Belfort would create a team of stockbrokers to aggressively pitch these shaky stocks to more uninformed investors. Meanwhile, Belfort would coerce high-profile and trusted connections to purchase the same stock, thus driving up the price. As the value of this once questionable stock skyrocketed, more and more investors would put their faith in the stock, thus driving it up even further. Then, once the stock price reached a certain point, Belfort would instruct his trusted investing constituents to suddenly sell the stock. As the price fell, lesser investors who sought to sell too would have their requests deliberately ignored until all of the higher investors pulled out, but by then the stock would be worthless. The commission Belfort and his company would receive from the sale of the stock to all investors and the selling from the trusted investors would make Belfort an estimated $200 million from 1987 to 1994.
Jordan Belfort's life took a sharp turn after his stockbroking days. Remember he'd built a company known for its aggressive sales tactics and lavish lifestyle? Well, it all caught up with him. The Securities and Exchange Commission, or the SEC, a government agency tasked with protecting investors in the stock market, launched an investigation into his business practice. This government oversight of the financial industry goes back to the Great Depression. In the aftermath of that economic collapse, President Franklin D. Roosevelt signed a series of laws aimed at preventing another one. One of these was the Securities Act of 1933, which established the SEC. Belfort was convicted of crimes related to his business practices. As part of the punishment, he had to spend 22 months in prison after he chose to cooperate with authorities. That meant trading his fancy suit for a prison uniform and his luxurious lifestyle for a very different kind of reality. Once he was released, Belfort wasn't allowed to work at a stockbroker anymore. He had to find a new path. Here's the surprising part. Belfort turned to motivational speaking. He started giving talks and workshops, sharing his story and focusing on topics like sales and business ethics. Some people found this strange. They felt he shouldn't be profiting from the bad choices he made. Others thought his story could serve as a cautionary tale. Either way, Belfort became a successful motivational speaker and even wrote a book about his experiences. So, that's a short story. It's a cautionary tale of success gone wrong, followed by an unexpected second act. It's also a reminder of the importance of ethical business practices and the role of government oversight in protecting investors.
But don't take it from us. Take it from him.
My name is Jordan Belfort. That's right. I'm a former member of the middle class, raised by two accountants in a tiny apartment in Bayside, Queens. The year I turned 26 as the head of my own brokerage firm, I made $49 million.
Still don't believe us? What if we interviewed Mr. Belfort himself?
Good afternoon, Mr. Belfort. Thank you for taking the time to speak with me today.
Of course.
You've had quite a journey from your rise and fall on Wall Street to becoming an author and motivational speaker. Can you tell us what initially drew you to the world of finance?
Yeah, I was always interested in the stock market. From a young age, saw Wall Street as an arena for achieving success and making a name for myself.
Your story is well known, especially after the success of the Wolf of Wall Street movie by Martin Scorsese. Please walk us through some of the key events depicted in the movie and give us more details about your accomplishments during that time.
Yeah, the movie depicts a lot of crucial points in my life and turning points that led me from Wall Street to eventually being a motivational speaker.
Considering the highs and lows of your career, what do you consider your most significant accomplishment?
I think my most significant accomplishment was the building up of Stratton Oakmont. I know some people say it was unethical how it was done, but when it comes to the end of the day, I think the success achieved there just shows how good I am at pump and dump schemes, and ultimately is the reason that I got caught.
Yeah, you certainly pioneered significant techniques in sales and marketing that were revolutionary at the time. However, since serving your prison sentence, you transformed your career and now focus on helping others avoid the mistakes you made. What motivated you to become a motivational speaker?
Yeah, I think when you get sentenced to jail, when you serve that time, it offers a lot of time of reflection. And I use that time to rethink my past decisions and kind of now think of it as my giving back to the community to make sure that everyone is using ethical ways of making money.
So, you often speak about these ethical sales techniques. Can you share some key principles that were absolutely essential for everyone in sales to follow?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the most important thing is to make sure that you're honest with your clients and making sure that you're building a good foundation of trustworthiness. Because off of that, then you can build more respect among the community, and ultimately that leads to better financial decisions between all of you. So I think that's really the most important thing.
Your straight line persuasion technique is really popular. I even saw a YouTube video on it once. Could you briefly explain why it is and why it's so effective?
So yeah, the straight line persuasion technique basically involves early on communication with the consumer and making sure they feel like they're cared for in the whole process. It's about building rapport with them so that when you get to the actual negotiations and the actual sales, they feel like they're making a good decision. And even if you have to pretend a little bit, it still is good to make sure that they feel like they're cared for, even if you maybe don't even care for them.
What advice would you give to young entrepreneurs today to help them start out?
I think the biggest thing is build your network. So, as young as you can start, make sure you're building connections with those in the business, and make sure you feel comfortable making decisions and just being in that community. It's pretty cutthroat, so make sure you feel comfortable with that and you're ready for that, and are able to fight back when necessary.
Thank you for sharing your insights, Mr. Belfort. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
Of course.
Oh, by the way, Mr. Belfort, my son's doing a history project for class, and they've been tasked to find an individual who's not in their textbook and explain why he should be. And I asked him, and you're not in the textbook, so why should you be?
I think I should be because I feel like I set a new standard for what it means to be rich in America. I feel like I embody what the American dream means, even though it means I got caught by the SEC. I think I embody what it means to get rich by yourself. I also think it's a great example of how the SEC works and the kind of work that they do. I'm also a lot cooler than a lot of the other people that are already in the textbook, so I feel like that just is a reason in its own. But yeah.
That certainly helps. Thank you.
Of course. This is the Wolf of Wall Street signing off. Thank you for voting for me.